Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here. Today we're going to be looking at a Mars safe lane Bristleback, but more specifically I want to look at farming patterns, item decisions, and just kind of how to progress your game off a good start. This is a game where he's 4-0, minute 5, well 4-1, he actually does die. But things go really well, and I actually really want to highlight how he progresses his game. When does he stop farming? What items does he buy to enable his farming? And so on and so forth, because I think a lot of carry players kind of get baited by the whiny teammates that they have. And I'm being real. A lot of players whine. It's like my carry is still farming and they're still farming, but the reality is in a lot of games, the best thing you can do as a carry player is hold your lane and snowball, right? And this is a game, especially as a hero like Bristleback, where holding your lane and playing an area alone is incredibly effective. The hero is survivable, similar to heroes like Jug and Lifestealer, even heroes like Terrorblade, right? There's a lot of heroes that are very hard to gank, and you want to be playing like this, right? So let's take a look at what he does, kind of break down his decision making. On top of that, go sign up to the gameleap website, guys. I'm posting new content over there almost every day, and I'll see you there. So this is a game where he initially decided to go Blade Mail. He's going to pivot from that. We'll have to discuss that. The game is really good, and so he's playing pretty aggressive. He ends up getting Dawn on here. It's a long fight, but he's very tanky. He's got some good items, right? The Strength Treads, the Bracer, the Wand, keeping him alive here. So they end up winning the fight. Gets shared some tangos. Pushes in the wave. The reason why he was pushing in the wave, I believe here, is because I actually think he thought the Doom wasn't here, and he would make the Doom lose the creeps, but the supports are here, so ends up not being too huge. Is going for a bit of a dive, right? Really wanted to put the pressure, as he's just being annoying. Farms up the Weaver Bug. His mid's getting fed a couple kills. And this is where I really like his decision making from here on out. I think things get really nice. So first things first, this camp is blocked. I actually think if you're winning your lane hard, you actually want to tell your support or yourself unblock it. You should go on Agi Treads and unblock the camp, right? As Bristleback, you have the luxury to farm these camps together as well. It is hyper efficient. What I really love is that he's going back for a Perseverance. Now, this is something that a lot of Bristle players like to do. They like buying this Perseverance item. The reason why, it's just regen, right? Bristle naturally needs both of the stats, and it's a pretty severe amp. It makes it go from 4.5 HP regen to 6.5 and 1.75 mana regen to 2.25, which isn't as big of a jump. But it's a nice item, and in terms of items that can progress into a later Bristleback item for regen, this is probably the best other than Vanguard, but he doesn't want to go Vanguard. I actually thought it's a decent Vanguard game, you know, it's a kind of a nice Halberd game against the Beastmaster, decent Crimson game, but he wants to go more of a carry route. So he was going to go Blade Mail, which is a fantastic item against something like Doom, or if he goes on to use Scorched Earth, Infernal Blade, and Doom, it's very easy to reflect it all, but he's like, my game is so good that I can kind of pivot to this regen item. So he's going to kick the Doom out of lane, just kind of good recognition of the situation, almost kills him, and picks up the very juicy Perseverance for that bonus HP regen and mana regen that it gives. Now, with this regen, he's granted the luxury of staying in the lane. He also picked up a shovel with mana regen, right? So he's going to be able to spam his spells. Stacking. Oh, does that work? Oh, that's nice. That is nice. Farms up this side camp. This side camp is not the priority. It is the last of your priorities. The priority is lane creeps here and then this camp. But, right, if you farm the lane creeps and these before the next lane creeps, it is good to farm that camp, as he misses out on, actually, I think 2 lane creeps. So probably not even worth it. I'm going to keep it a stack. At this point, you want to push in the lane. The reason why you want to push in the lane is because while shutting down Doom is good, you're at the point where you farm so efficiently that you don't want to push in the lane. And that, guys, is how you want to think if you should push in the lane or not. If you jungle faster than frankly lane, like farming 4 lane creeps or the enemy farming 4 lane creeps, the same amount of gold, then you should just push in the lane. As he picks up the Lotus, just casual, right? Being very aware of sustain, unblocking this camp, as I mentioned. Probably should have done that earlier, honestly. Tried to stack the camp, missed it. Unlucky. Pushes in the wave. Fast as possible. Going up the big creep, right? This is the most efficient thing to do, specifically on Bristleback. Off this camp, onto this camp. Again, this camp is only the priority if you are not missing a severe amount of lane creeps. This camp is worth about 1 1/4, 1 1/3 lane creeps generally, and so you got to be real careful, especially if you miss a flag bearer. It's just not going to be worth it. So most carries will not ever think about farming that camp. It's just not worth it. But Bristle can do that. It will typically be more XP. Now, here he's thinking about pressuring the tower. His entire team is in the area. And keep in mind, the only time he has gone to this tower is when his whole team is here. The amount of carry players I will watch hit this freaking tower early on, minute 7, 8, 9, is insanely high. Don't hit it unless your team is in the area or you have like complete vision of the enemy team, right? You know they can't TP on you. Otherwise, don't do it. Just farm. If you're given the luxury to push the wave in at minute 8, 9, 10 and just farm the camps behind you, you're golden. Game is cooked. But okay, gets a free tower. It's just situational. But it's going to farm backwards now. Not going to just run forwards. Not going to say, oh, we took the tower. Time to go 1v9 the game and fight it up. I'm strong. My team is ready to go. Nope. He doesn't have a completed item. He bought a Perseverance, right? Perseverance is not something you're buying to say, oh, I'm ready to fight. No, this is a farming item. It is not a great fighting item. Very average. And it's going to go for a stack. I think he gets it. Oh, okay. Stacks it a little early. Always go up the big creeps. Should actually split the goo and put it on the dragon there. I guess it didn't matter. Back to pushing in the wave. Did pick up the blade mail. And it's actually funny. He's going to use the blade mail to take ancient stacks. He used it for the stack above as he drags the wave to the camp, which is a nice efficiency play if possible. And then TP's out here. Now, typically in your average game, you wouldn't TP out here unless you have stacks. So if your supports are telling you, hey, there's a bunch of stacks, great. If there aren't, no problem. Camps, right? Rinse, repeat until you're ready to go with your major item timing. What is this major item timing in this game? It's going to be Sanjin Yasha, right? It just gives you that HP pool and that movement speed slow resist. That's really going to make you a menace. I honestly think generally you should buy Shard as well before these timings, but nonetheless, he's not going to do that. So actually opts to go back to base, which I thought was a tad surprise. I mean, he's obviously giga low, but with Perseverance, you can kind of get away with sometimes just cycling the camps. The argument for going back to base, the main one, I'd say, because he even got a salve and a mango, he would have been fine. The argument for going back to base is that it makes you fight ready, right? Which I would say, I don't know. I don't think he had to do it. Either way, let's look at these stacks. This is actually super clean. Quills that camp at 55, goos the other camp at 56. This camp stacks very quickly. So that's a good thing to know, right? You hit the top camp first, goo the second camp, farms it up, top camps, back to his lane. Thinks about farming these creeps, but again, lane creeps are always the priority, guys. Unless it's a stack, it's always the priority, right? Takes these camps before the minute mark, and now around minute 15, he's gonna make his first real move without his primary item timing, which is the completed Sanjin Yasha. However, the Sanj is still fantastic. You really need the HP pool on this hero. So seeing red comes into play, or Snot Rocket, whatever it happened to be. And he's going to go take the Torn. Bristle is probably one of the best heroes in the game at taking this. He's up there with heroes like TA, and I think Meepo is like exceptional as well. But yeah, takes the Torn, gets her for the boys, gets manager added, back to the top lane, right? Coming here to defend, wants to push it out. There's a double set of creeps, and he just doesn't get, you could tell he's just not over worried about kind of just making this major team move. And I think a lot of people just kind of get wrapped up at just playing super fast and just playing like a psycho. He has to be a little careful here. He's definitely completely isolated. Could get gone on, right? His whole team is bottom. And so typically in this position, I feel like you would just, I don't know, chasing the Weaver seemed a little weird to me. I think that was probably a misplay. He should just push the wave and leave it at that. He missed a couple lane creeps from that. But with Sanjin Yasha completed, the only thing I would say now that I would like is for him to buy a Shard. He ends up completing full Lotus, which I just disagree with strongly. I think the Shard is just a little bit too good. Honestly, as he thinks about, like right there, if you have your Shard, I mean, you wouldn't, but if you have your Shard, you can actually chase the beast and potentially kill him as he actually dies here. All that farming just to feed classic carry players, right? But to be fair, this death isn't that bad. I mean, it's bad. Don't get me wrong. It's not a good death. It's not that bad, only because it costs Roar, right? And now, you know, like your team knows Roar is on cooldown. If they're high skill, they can kind of siege up this tower a little bit. It's not the end of the world, but certainly a bit of an overextension, maybe overplaying his hand a tad. Now at this point, on Bristleback specifically, another reason why this hero is broken is just kind of the Roche potential. You just get to Roche, right? Because you have goo. And so they're going to do that. He can tank it reasonably well with the help of his Tiny. He's actually got some slot issues, so does a good job of kind of managing that with the courier. And tells his team to push in mid and top, right? So just saying, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's finally group up. I had this free game. I could take all this space. Now let's get going. Again, I really wish he bought his Shard. I think his logic is it's such a good Lotus game, right? Reflecting, I mean, there's so much. Spirit Vessel from Weaver, Roar, Sunder, Jakiro spells, Doom E. Like, it's some insane Lotus game, so I can totally get his logic. I mean, the amount you can dispel or reflect this game is absurdly good, right? Absurdly good. That's okay. He's ready to go. Load is complete. It costs about, I think it's like, what, 2,300 gold? Finish it up, so he gets that. Actually looking to dive the high ground. Wow, this is aggressive. As the Ghost Scepter comes out, so, oh my god, still diving. As the Beast finds his Tiny. But a Gouda Beast is very problematic. This matchup is not good for Beastmaster, let me tell you. Does he go down to this Infernal Blade? He does. But the Beastmaster takes out. Now you're in a good position, right? Goo onto the Doom. At this point, you're just going to stick on the Doom till the BKB ends. Stun onto the Weaver. Can they burst him? No. Ringmaster slightly over-channeling his Q. And now he's up to the high ground. And you can see, it, especially in a hero like Bristle, but most carries, it's about strong punches, right? It's about knowing your timing and then really hitting this strong punch. And that strong punch can be a variety of things. It could be a team fight. It could be a Tormentor. It could be a Roshan, right? It can be any of the main objectives, which I would argue team fights aren't objective, but right, any of the traditional objectives outside really of towers. Towers are the last objective, guys. I just want to be clear on that. The Roche, I would say Roche sometimes comes before tier 2s. It depends on the game, right? That's where Dota gets a little hard. But in general, Tormentor comes before Roche, and Roche tends to come before tier 2s, unless your team has complete control of one side of the map, then sometimes you'll siege instead of going for Roche. As they smoke up the hill. So you're not trying to force the enemy team back, kind of just calling out that they're not ready for the high ground push here. Toss back onto the Chikiro, as they should be able to kill him off. He's going to get completely stuck in the goo, zoning out the Bristle. Nice Lotus on the Tiny. That was extremely well timed. As he has to be a little careful. This Weaver bug is pretty problematic for, I was going to say pretty problematic. Oh, but he gets healed up. The Strongman tonic from the Ringmaster. Just kind of knowing his limits here, super impressive. As the Terrorblade, wow, okay. The sequence actually is a little more even than you would hope, right? The Terrorblade on the enemy team doing a really good job of just taking bot racks. I mean, that hero is something else if it gets going. But the Shard, negative 1 billion armor on the Doom. He's got to be careful though, he's getting low. At this point, he has to really try to just poke the Doom life out. Should be fine getting hit in the back here with 30 armor. You have salves in your backpack, pop the salves! Oh, he's fine. He's got a Lotus in 2 seconds. And yeah, that's going to be all for today's video. Just a shorter video. Just kind of wanted to give a good example of being explosive on the map. Definitely a big fan of this Bristleback hero if you go for like some sort of this item build. I think the Lotus can be replaced with... I mean, the thing about Lotus, the reason why Lotus tends to be very popular on Bristleback is because of the fact that it gives you mana, HP, it builds from the Perseverance, it gives you armor, which this hero desperately needs, and a mana pool, which this hero also desperately needs. And people tend to buy items that you need to dispel, or just like pokey with a lot of dispellable shit. For instance, like Vessel is very annoying for your hero, right? So Lotus just makes sense against things like Weaver Pause 4 especially, right? I mean, it's such a good Lotus game. This is like the best Lotus game of all time, honestly. Super elite. Super, super elite. But all right, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, learned a couple things, and I'll see you in the next one.
And that's all. But remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.